We are here at the Riverwalk Pavilion at New York Comic Con Day 2 with Dave Dastmalchian.
Yes.
And so I got his name right. So
you did it.
We're going to chat with him. And
hi, guys. How's everybody?
Let me just turn the camera around.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Fantastic. Excited to be here.
So you know about Comic Watch, it sounds like.
Yes, love Comic Watch.
So before we get started talking, I'd like to find out where people are, in how they got started on their comic book journey. Do you remember the first comic book you read, or maybe the one that?
So the very first comic I ever bought, I was a little boy in third grade, and I got the Avengers number 249. It was a Marvel comic, obviously, an Avengers comic, and it was the Avengers versus Maelstrom, and I was hooked ever since. I quickly started collecting monthly series like Firestorm, Red Tornado, Justice League. I love Batman, and I was monthly immediately getting like the first team I subscribed to was the West Coast Avengers. I loved the West Coast Avengers. I thought they were so cool and weird.
And so what made you want to start writing?
It's interesting. I'm one of those people who ate the donuts my whole life. Since 9 years old, I was eating the donuts, and I never knew how to make the donuts. I never really concerned myself with how comics were made. I just knew that I loved certain writers and certain artists, and so that's all that mattered to me. As opposed to like filmmaking and theater, where I went and studied and learned how to make film and theater. It wasn't until I was older and I had been writing for a long time that I got an opportunity to pitch an idea to a comic book publisher. And then I dove in and I started to really learn about and work on the artistry of comic creation. And I realized that for me, the best writing process is getting paired with a really talented artist, which I always have been. I've been so lucky. I've been partnered with so many great artists. And then I asked them, what kind of scripts do you find the most inspiring? What way do you like writers to write scripts so that you can draw them? And I learn every time from each artist I work with.
So you've done Knights vs. Samurai. You've dabbled with the Creature Commandos.
Creature Commandos was such a blast. I got to do Knights vs. Samurai. I did Count Crowley at Dark Horse. I got to play with Venom at Marvel. I'm currently doing the accessories with Panic. And then my new book, Through, just launched yesterday from Z2. You can order it right now online at Z2. And I'm so proud of Through. It is the most personal, important story I've ever written. I never dreamed of getting to make a graphic novel like this. And Kat Staggs did the interiors. She's so talented. David Mack did our cover. The design, the packaging. I wanted this to feel like for grown-ups, like the graphic novel, reminding us of like the days of Vertigo, the days of like getting a book that you could put as your coffee table book, but at the same time, it could also be a book that you share with your friends. Graphic novel. Yeah.
So when you were, writing the DC horror stuff, did you have a favorite Creature Commando that
I was always a big fan of Vincent Velcro because he was just this lovable asshole vampire. I mean, in the original Creature Commandos run, which I collected and loved when I was very little, I just always loved monsters and outsiders, and I thought that they were all pretty great, but something about Vincent, he was my favorite.
And what is it like, being able to play with like in the Venom universe and stuff like that? Just
Black, White, and Blood. In the Venom, like what's cool about these anthological one-shot stories is that even if they exist within the universe that's been established, you have a lot of freedom to play and go out on a limb. And I got to take a lot of risks. Like with my new story, Philip Tan, by the way, did the art. He's so talented. The story was very inspired by David Fincher's film Seven.
okay.
And I wanted to show Eddie Brock, almost like John Doe stalking Peter Parker.
So, since you've been writing comic books, how do you feel that you've grown as a, writer?
One of the best things about the effect of comic writing on my journey as a storyteller is that it continues to ask me to think about the visual medium and how it's impacted by the emotional and psychological programming that I'm putting in as far as the words, the dialogue, the script. So working with artists, I love collaborating with artists and just as we're writing, as the script is coming together, checking in with them and saying, here's this panel, here's how I imagine it feeling. How do you think it should look? Because often I understand the feelings and the ideas in my writing, but I don't necessarily understand how they're going to translate visually. So I've learned so much about the visual manifestation of my storytelling through the way I get to collaborate with artists. I've learned so much.
And are there any, characters that you in either any sandbox that you would just kind of love to get a hold of? And
so many. I'd love to write Morbius stories. I'd love to write Man-Wolf stories. I'd love to write stories that involve Solomon Grundy. I think that almost all of the villains of the DC universe are my favorite. Almost all of the heroes of the Marvel universe. I would love to tell some Hellboy stories if Mike Mignola ever gave me a chance to write. I think that there's so many cool new worlds that, I don't know. I love comics, so anytime anyone would give me a chance, I'd probably be excited. I mean, for goodness sake, last year I wrote a Power Pack story. Who ever imagined that I'd get to write a Power Pack story?
Yeah. Are there any writers that, you kind of, that I guess, influence your style, or is there any?
Jeff Loeb, Scott Snyder. I think that one of the writers that is mostly only published through graphic novel form is Emile Ferris. I think she's a very special voice in that world. Oh my God, you name it. From Gaiman on down, I've been a fan since I was a kid of the writers of comics.
And have you brought anything, from your other, work you've done into your comic book writing?
Oh yeah, being a filmmaker, working in theater, film, and television has really influenced the way that I look at comics. And I want to bring everything I learned from set, from collaborations with filmmakers and writers and screenwriters into the way that I tell stories in comic books. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And was there a learning gap when you were first starting off, or?
There was a learning curve, if you will. It was like I think that now I can move, like with acting, it's the same thing. I think it took me a while to learn how to take up text, how to compress that text, how to memorize the text. And now I feel like I move more quickly. Just with the writing, I feel like I get through it pretty fast.
Sorry, I was just motioning to that guy there.
No worries. How much? I think I'm almost out of time. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But, all right. Well, anything else that you've
just grateful that Through is out, and I'd love for you guys to check it out. And then the new Knights vs. Samurai Volume 1 is available in trade paperback. So yeah.
And where can people find you on?
I'm on Instagram at Dastmalchian. And if you go to Good Fiend Films, look up Good Fiend Films. That's my production company. And a lot of the production that we do with publishing is available through that as well. So yeah, check us out.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. And we're looking forward to your continued comic work.
Thanks,
and
man.
We'll continue to you know,
I love your
Give-
site. It's
give
an
you-
awesome site.
give
Thank you.
give you coverage over on Comic
I
Watch.
appreciate Comic Watch is awesome. Thanks, man. David.